Greetings. Here we begin to look at the nature of interpersonal violence. And so this chapter, chapter 10, is called Interpersonal Violence, and it focuses on a variety of violent criminal behaviors. We may want to back up for a moment and think about the theories that we've discussed earlier. Think about that might lead to violent behaviors and interactions. Think about the biological theories, that abnormalities in the brain, for example, and other problems. Think about the psychological theories that we discussed, and for example, Freud's work, the cognitive social learning theories. Think about the relationship between the use of alcohol and drugs and violence, that why maybe we are not that comfortable saying that alcohol and drugs cause violent behavior. It certainly increases the risk that violent behavior may occur. It's one of many factors. Also, the availability of firearms and the whole social areas of being exposed to violence in communities and in other arenas such as the family and at school. And in the chapter, your author talks about different types of interpersonal violence, for example, rape. And I think if you look at the data, one thing that you begin to notice is that there's different types of rape: gang rape, serial rape, acquaintance rape, date rape, marital rape, statutory rape. And then if you look at Gross work on rape, came up with this typology, which is kind of the motivating factor of the sexually violent crime. For example, there's power rapes, there's anger rapes, and there's sadistic rapes. Now, even though these may seem to overlap, what we're talking about is a primary motivating factor, that some rape to show their power, others their aggression and anger toward others, and others sadistic, where they become very aroused by harming other people. And the author goes over a variety of explanations for rape, and looks at the legal system and some of the laws and some changes in international trends. And I think that's very important to read and to take a look at some of the changes we've seen. For example, very recently, the Justice Department has changed the definition of rape. And as you'll see, that the definition is more encompassing now and includes more behaviors that would be defined as rape. The author also spends some time talking about murder or homicide, and looking again at the trends. I'm always get kind of worried about talking about trends, because we may see a pattern holding for a while and then it changes after the video's been released. For example, we've seen some lowering of these crime rates, but then recently we begin to see an increase. Well, really what you need to do is look at the National Institute of Justice, the crime reports, the ones that are the most up-to-date current ones, that is the National Crime Victimization Survey, and also the Uniform Crime Reports, to kind of get that. Also, you can look in your own community as well, that many law enforcement agencies provide the crime rates on their websites, and so you can see, even some will go into detail on crime mapping, and you can see what types of crimes occur where, and get a better idea, and then some will allow trend analysis. Certainly the Florida Department of Law Enforcement has excellent data sets that you can download in Excel format, and obviously the National Institute of Justice has some great information about trends and patterns as well. The author talks a little bit about different types of serial killers and some of the explanations there, and mass murderers and the differences, and spree killers, and then present some of the trends for homicide victimization rates. And you can take a look at the trends and see that race and ethnicity, age, and gender are very highly correlated or related to homicide rates. The author also talks about assault and battery, and includes child abuse, sexual abuse, parental abuse, and spousal abuse, and then looks at victims of child abuse by perpetrator relationship. Of course, many times we find when we start looking at violence that often in cases of rape or child sexual abuse or child physical abuse, that the perpetrator is someone that the victim knows. Robbery is discussed, and it's always important to differentiate the violent crime robbery from the property crime burglary. If someone comes home to their apartment and they notice that the door was broken, they walk in and their big screen television is missing, and no one else is around, they say, "I've been robbed." Now, actually, they should say, "I've been burglarized," to be more appropriate. And that's important for understanding the nature of the crime. Was it a violent crime or was it a property crime? And that's important when you look at statistics to differentiate the different types of crimes. Because if someone tells you that crime went down in the community, it could happen that violent crime could have skyrocketed and property crime could have gone way down. And you're told that crime went down, and you're thinking, oh, it's much safer and everything. Well, that actually is probably much more dangerous if that was what had happened. That's just a hypothetical example I'm making up here. So you want to look at the specific statistics, because policymakers, public officials, community representatives, people will manipulate these statistics for their own benefit for whatever reasons. And I've seen that happen so much. My hair turned gray. Also, we have hate crimes, and the FBI has some data. What I would say about hate crimes collected at city, county, state levels is very, very, very underestimated. There's a lot more hate crime that's not reported or coded correctly. And then some workplace violence scenarios are discussed. Also stalking. And I think also what we'll see later on when we talk about technology toward the end of the semester is computer, internet stalking, which is a relatively new crime that we've seen emerge that can lead to violent situations as well. But one thing I would like to point out, and that is I was extremely happy to see that your author included a very nice discussion of Lonnie Athens' violentization theory. My own work relies very heavily on Lonnie Athens' violentization theory and looking at the stages of violence in the phantom communities and how people become violent and dangerous individuals and how groups become violent as well. And this wraps up this video. Thank you.